love, peace and love. We're back with just this little chat with the Moors and no specific subject matter. Not for this video. It's a little part 2 of this chat. Hurry up and get through some of these miscellaneous pictures. Let's talk about them. We work on this YouTube, our own YouTube type platform. We can be posting our teachings and lessons, but it's not going to be just like we see everybody historians. We're going to go back to the basics and bring back the arts that the Moorish children mastered before they became like 10 years old. So that's what nationality all about. Ain't about the pageantry. It's about us. The mothers and fathers of civilization. Civilization is this. So when the United States say things like the mothers and fathers of civilization, talking about this. So we got mathematics. We got algebra, and we know what algebra is, and there's some Moorish history in that, 1424. This works. But when you see these are just examples, the whole empire on the same science. And that's why we see these things around the world. Trigonometry. Trig. They one of several mathematicians who the law of sins is attributed to. So these many lessons that I'm working on to teach basics of these for like your child, so they could be way advanced before they even go to a public school or wherever they schooling. They should know these things before 10. Geniuses. Calculus. And Al-Hazan. You can see him a lot. They love him. He did a lot. All these Moors did a lot. And like I said, the whole empire know these sciences. It's just that they're going to pick one. Scientific method. The scientific method itself been contributed to these Moors. This man been known as the world's first true scientist. So we gotta get back to that. Astronomy. You see that 964 AD. Physics. You see Al-Hazan again. Chemistry. Geodesy. Biology. And you know we always been great at biology. What his name is? Forget his name. Dang. Garrett? No, I don't think it's Morgan. So he had the first heart. He did the breakthrough on heart surgery in African American history. Black History Month, they tell us about him. And the Banu Musa brothers, engineering. They probably ain't gonna talk about it in this, but they even been creating like the first model planes in Andalusia. Flying devices. And social sciences. Ibn Khaldun. Man been a genius. Is regarded among the founding fathers of modern sociology, historiography, demography, and economics. Beast. Beast with it. And all the first hospitals in the world, Moorish. I don't know if they talk about it had been a woman who created the first like public type hospital before the world thought about doing something like that. She created it, and now we got hospitals in the public. Pharmacies come with it, medicine. You know, that's what you call mother's father civilization, because all the stuff that civilization rely on, that's where they got it from. These masterminds. Surgery. And Arab means noble. Commerce and trade. And this one liberal arts that we love, but they keep us in this one to keep us out the rest. They're keeping us specifically out the rest. We still got good Moorish architecture, surgeries and stuff, but they focus us on this so we wouldn't flood the rest because we'll take it over, especially politics. We do anything to keep us from going into politics in mass in the U.S., the several states. But music is one, architecture is one, our arts, all these are arts. And we should always create these basic lessons for the children in each of them to get them at least caught up on the wordage, which is the most important thing. Understanding the language. Once you understand the language, all these subjects become easy. So whatever one your child particularly like, he'll be able to master that easily because he like it and he understand it in its essence. Like if he wanted to deal with hospitals, these Latin words that we use, if he got a grasp of that at a young age, it'll be nothing for him to get medicine because the terminology is Latin. And if you start young, definitely be a genius in these fields. And that's when the times when we've been inventing everything, because we had these in our household, we had these lessons at home. We wouldn't even let our child grow up without knowing these things. These were like essential things to know. And that's why you see a lot of malls with a bunch of different subjects. And you go look them up, they'll be astronomer, a doctor. Like even in all those subjects, because that's how we taught. We taught all the arts. And then certain malls would go deeper into each art, the ones that they like the best. But you see Ibn Khaldun, he been, multifaceted. Most of them are multifaceted like that because of that. Getting these lessons at a very young age, that's what made them nobles. Knowledge, which we know is power. And that's what nationality really is. Before somebody asked me about nationality, before I even get to the paperwork, quote unquote, because we don't even look at that right. But before I even get to that, I'm going to talk about the simple things that we forget to do. Like put these lessons back in the households. Basic if you got to. So let's continue. Now, these random. I was having a chat with them also. These ain't. I don't know which picture gonna come up next. Hopefully, and I told you they need to see. This right here showing that they asked the people that they found here the name of the town place. They say Kataski, and linguistically we know that's Carthage. It's just that that's how they called it at that time, right? Because they ain't got the record books in the History Channel and all this other stuff to teach us about Carthage, to tell us that's the name. So they've been actually in Carthage, living it, but under their own name, Kataski. That cat part is connected to Egypt by way of the Sphinx. And we got words like Catalina, stuff like that too, that all got that same thing. Carolina also, Carrcat, dealing with that same thing. Carthage, Carolina, California, all those words like that come from a certain source. And I don't think we'll get into that in this video, but I'll get into that one day. Coron, Coteria, all those words like that. And this is a mural in Mexico City that shows the timeline of the history of Mexico, and go into my channel telling you holy wars everywhere. You see the Moors with the animal body suits. We see that a lot on the walls of Mexico. You see the Moors. And you see the persecutions and stuff. Castilians and Gallicans and all these Europeans. Go to my channel, you see his stories. You see right there. Castilians and the Moors fighting. Portuguese and shit. You see them do it right there with the pointing out with the animal thing. You'll see that on maps too. Gran Canaria and all this. They got the whole history laid out for you. See another one. Got the animal suits. Not about war. That's history in a nutshell for Mexico, for America. You see the different, the Catholicas dealing with the government, the state, church and state. The friars. All the characters in there look like the Genoese. We call it Jesuit. Look at them all with the sword. And the Freedom Land, Tierra Libertad. And the Chichimecas, dealing with the U.S. and the Mexican War. So they laid a whole history out. The Moorish mother and child crying during the slavery times. You see, Moorish mother and children. So it's a great painting. That's why they put it in the National Palace of City of Mexico. We got Bahia, so-called home, Rome of the blacks, Brazil. But as you can see, Islam lives in Marruecos, which is Brazil. But we got the Christian aspect, Bahia, Rome of the blacks. And main man sitting out there now, look like in the hood part. But this is ancestor structures. He just don't remember. We know from the stories, especially with Brazil. And in the museum, I going on Google Maps myself and go and find a museum and take the picture myself, being that it's a whitewashed version on the internet. So go in the museum and take it myself. So the real version is this version with the dark-skinned child, Carlos, not the other version. That might be in another museum, but I don't know. The only concern that this one is in display. because this one tells a lot of history. It shows that a lot of the history been played with. And I think it's in that same museum. He said he used to have the fairs and the feathers down there in Inca land. And go everywhere just like us today. Nobody, like, we weigh stuff like this all day. BT Award, walk right in the wall, that's going on with some rapper. And they might say, yeah, that's foolish, but the Incas been rocking like us. So they've been foolish too, guess, back then. See? Phases. And they got the Egyptian, they got to look like a cat in the middle. Got one in the middle of their phase, right in the penile pineal gland. Got one with turban with the phase, turban with the phase at the same time, like some of the Moors in North America today. And I go on and take these pictures myself and these on Google Maps, and I show other methods how to do that. Phase, turban, and the Egyptian style turban and thing. Phase, turban and phase. Moorish Americans. They got these in the back. These cups. Like we got pimp cups in gold. A little more with the vase. And then they confuse you with words like Afro-Americano, Negro, Black and African Americans, and baile, which is the B, flamenco. It's a Moorish America by Jose Luis Navarro Garcia. Such a conquistador mentality. He gonna call them Black and African American. Let me see, I ain't got that whoop. Similas de Ebano. So they got a whole book about him, but he's a Black and African American, but he the star of the show. He the star of the book, not these people. It's one of the museums that we're looking at the geometry and the architecture. Like, it's Moorish as fuck, man. That's in Argentina. Inside the museum. I just walk around the museum and I just see this, like, come on. Sombrero. You know the sombrero is Andalusian. And we find it in Mexico. By North America, we wear the Cordoba. The Cordovan. Right? We used to. 1930s, 20s, Malcolm X, you know. It's a Cordoba, sombrero Cordobes. Sombrero means hat, and it's a Cordoban one. But it made it way here, right? And it's an outline of the empire around the 1600 times, 17, 18, even today, really. Right, England, which is Canada, and all these places, and New France, Philadelphia, and a lot of the places in the South, like New Orleans and Charleston, and all that stuff, New France. You got Spain, New Spain, La Florida, which is the South. And then, you know, Washington Territory and the bays and the Cali and the Pacific. She ain't got that mark, but we know that popping under Washington Territory, and we can see it right here. Even though it ain't marked, but we know that too. Um, we got New Spain, which right here today we consider as Spain and Portugal, right? Because in England sits on top of Spain and Portugal on the other side. It's like you flip the map upside down. And now you getting into Morocco and Africa on the other side. So on this side we should be getting into Morocco and Africa. So right there, Marruecos, Morocco, and Mazagan, Azamor. And then you getting down here, you getting back to the English on both sides with South Africa and with Magellan. I forget what the fuck they call it, Chile. It's parts of Chile now. But we got the English, that's been the English, that's been Spain. A lot of our ancestors got records that come from Spain, but what they ain't telling you is Spain been the south of the United States that we call Dirty South today. That was the Florida at one point. So the records will reflect somebody coming from the south onto the English colony as a person who was born in Spain, who descended of Spain, born in America or United States or wherever they were calling the colony, England, Carolina. So I find a good bit of the descendants of quote unquote Spain, and it just make more sense. These dark skinned people who ain't even coming from no Spain overseas, they were coming from a Spain over here. Because we dealing with the 16 and 1700s. That's way after the expulsion of the so-called Andalusian Spain era. So why they still showing up on records coming from Spain, and it's the 1700s they finding dark-skinned people in Charleston who daddy or grandfather been said they come from Spain. So anything in the English colony been ambiguous back then because they just been speaking English. They didn't understand where people would come from. People could have been coming from all over this place, and everything would have been put in a position of English. So you coming from Kenaga right here, they would have see that in English as Zenaga, and that would have been somewhere in Congo or Angola, or they only had a few words for you. You could have come from Florida, somewhere in Florida, but the name ain't registered in English to their mind. That name to them sound African, so they listed on the colony as coming from Africa, in which the person probably ain't protest because at that time they probably been known as Africa. But we confused today. And this right here I've been showing how this book been saying that this structure, all these cities that sit along this right here, been a kingdom. And what I believe was just like this one. His name Shinar. I believe this one that they talking about is named Amexem. Because we know that this basin connects to the basin of West Africa as if you're in a puzzle. But I create this, so in my opinion, And we got Moorish American, which is an example I be trying to show people how some of the Moors we might look at as like Carlos V. And they be wondering why we call Carlos V a Moor when he been fighting against Moors as Christian. Because, typically even a Moor. And a Moor just means, like we say, a lord. And he was definitely a lord, even a Christian lord. So that still bring him back to Moor. And Moors, regardless of what religion or thing they've been so-called under, they still might have been fighting each other because we had tribal wars. So those Christian Moors, those are Moors. They've just been following the gods of Europe and That's our family. We all paid for what we did to each other by being enslaved for the last, I don't know how long, but the punishment been there, the karma or whatever been there, and we can see an example of how why we call these people like Carlos and stuff Moors, regardless of like if we're using truth. That's because that's one of our principle. We got Moorish American. So now you can look at that name and you say, yeah, Moorish, right? Arabic. Mauli al-Sheikh, right? The Sheikh was a Moroccan prince, so still Moorish, right? And died in Italy in 1621. So he around the time of Carlos then. Well, he around the time of the son of Carlos II. Felipe, the one after him, Secunda. So he got exiled in Spain. He was converted to Catholicism, you see. But he ain't really been converted. He converted himself because he been at war with another Moorish tribe and he wanted to use help. And he gonna holler at the Moors of the Christian society in Madrid and was known as Felipe de Africa. You see how you go from Mule to Felipe. So how he not stop being a Moor? He just now a Christian Moor. He could have joined the Tibetan. He would have been a Buddhist or whatever, But that still wouldn't take the fact that you're a Moor. And if a Chinese dude go around and kill random people, he's gonna be a Chinese dude on death row or dead when they catch him. He ain't gonna not be a Chinese dude after you do that. So you gotta start looking at things as of more something you can just sign up with or choose or not to choose. That just mean Lord or God on earth or the tetragrammaton, man, woman, and child. If you want to look at God in that sense, I see the best sense to look at it as Lord, since we're dealing with on earth. And the landlord or ruler of a lord or land, that would make a lot of sense. We're dealing with earthly things. But the word MR is master or Mr. or Mrs., which is Lord and Lady. So he been Felipe de Austria. Now that's how you lose your heritage. That's how you lose your birthright and your history by following the gods of Europe, right? Because I searched up and down for the picture of Felipe of Austria and cannot find nobody who would look like a Moorish American. So they already changed his history. They changed his photo under that term, Felipe of Austria. You might can find him under these terms, right? Because we been black in Africa, been bred in us to look like us when we think of those terms. But a Felipe of Austria is another story. That's how they take your history. And that's why we be saying these kings and stuff, stop looking at these paintings. We don't know if these paintings are real or not. We just know that the history, what the records say. So you got a Moorish American in history who really got a lot of history under Felipe of Austria. Philip of Austria, which is Felipe in a different language. So a lot of his history is getting whitewashed. And that's what we saying, stop using all these terms just because it sound good. We ain't telling you to use a term like more just because we like that term or we in some group and we want you to be part of the same group. We don't care about none of that. We care that you don't fall into the same traps that have been laid out in history that we fall under. Because the Philip de Austria ain't got no land claims nowhere on the planet according to history, except for them little Austria states that Moors give them. And that even been under you and not some Austria, or under some Moorish kingdom. But when he went Moorish American, he got all kind of lands. America Africa, all over the place under that term. Moroccan, Moorish. And Carlos and them Castilians, they claim inheritance of a lot of things. I'm trying to claim it, but they've been coming under these false names, so they can't really keep that whole. That's why they ain't keep it. The dark-skinned Portuguese and Spanish at that time who been making these claims and things, doing it under those terms, and history ain't connected to none of those terms. The new shit. So we see Barbaria capital in Mexico, name Guadalajara, Guadalajara, which is, we know, a state in or Al-Andalus under that same name. What they're gonna tell you is that the Spanish bring these names here from Andalus. They ain't bring Spanish names, they bring Al-Andalus names, right? So inside they got like Barbarias. So Barbaria is the name of a lot of their barbershops too. Interesting. So let's deal with West Palestine. West Palestine, I had to talk about that in my last video. And Uriel Bay talk about that in this video, Conscious Gridship Changes. And I'm gonna show how it's not far-fetched that this area is called West Palestine, and the secret behind the scenes, if we're gonna say something like that, or historical contexts. So you can see a lot of these words that shouldn't be right here, but should be in Palestine some way, or Canaan, which is the same thing. But we know we in Canaan land, so a lot of these places are gonna be Canaan type words. And the first Moorish temple in this area too, for that same reason. Next to the Sea of Galilee and Bethlehem, all the story came played out right here. In India and all the places that so-called leisurely walk, right? We're gonna give you walking distance. Right. And know what y'all allegedly went to Jerusalem, to Egypt, and to all these places. India. We're gonna show you how to grasp things, stop being so spooked about things. And as this being West Palestine, this down here is La Florida, which is Moorish Spain, or Al-Andalus, the land of flowers. Samaria, Lamas. You're gonna meet all these people, and even walking. And if we look on the world map, and these places do exist all over the place, it wouldn't make sense to even walking or taking camels to these places unless all these place names been kind of close, like I showing. But mostly in the southeast. And we got a Elizabeth, just like we got a Maryland, Mary and Elizabeth. Chapter 47, 1, no, Holy Quran, chapter 2. And we will see a lot of these names in that too. And we're going to walk to Bethlehem, we're going to walk to Miriam Way. We walk to these places looking for him and all this place. And the walking distance look right. The land of Mary right next to the land of Elizabeth. Yeah, a lot more just saying got all in there. It seems like every place name I look for ended up popping out somewhere over here. Even if it's just like a temple or a house restaurant, or when they get to stuff like that, when you get to restaurant names or names of company, they kind of leave those off. Just try to use like street names and place names, because restaurant names could be, well, you already scratching it, but they're just really scratching it, because you know people could just be into those type of things, just religions, and use those names as their restaurant names, stuff like that. Not all the time, though. Some of these names, I be scratching my head like, how does restaurant know to use this term? So, to know what we're dealing with, again, for the 15th time, more and more, more for masculine, feminine, and other terms like more is feminine for more. We're dealing with a female. That's why they got the Moors. All in North America means killing the Moorish woman. Kill the Moorish woman. That's the term Moor. Or kill the blackberry, but we know that don't make sense. And the name derived from the Hebrew mara, which means bitter or bitterness. A lot of people use that to try to say that's what Mary named him, but they don't finish it, which carries the implication of strength. So it don't mean that she been a bitter person. A lot of people use that to try to say that's what I mean, bitter Mary. But bitter ain't I mean bitter back then. Naomi, the mother-in-law of Ruth, claimed the name martyr as an expression of grief after the death of her husband and sons. But as an expression of grief was what they say, by when strength be needed more in tragedy, right? So she might have used it as to keep strength. It also means lady, of course, in Aramaic, which is the language Jesus and Mary and all these people would have been speaking. So he would have been hearing the word more all the time. Say mar or more means Lord, and as a title of the bishop of the Syrian Christian Church. So they still use it in that church. That church is like a mixture of the Islam and the Christianity, because they dealing with the split and ideologies and stuff like that. Like that go-betweens, like the Maltese language that got a lot of the so-called Christian Latin and the so-called Moorish Arabic mix. So this right here again showing us that Moor and Mary and Maury and Mar, all those words is just MR without the vowels, and different Moors came along and added their own vowels. The one we use MOOR in the English, Spanish MORO, that's Hebrew MARA for feminine, and MORI for the masculine. But this right here really means my lady. So they kind of in error. So if you know your shit, and it don't matter if you get it off the internet, you can still correct anything. This means my lady. MORI means my lord. MAR is lady. MOR is lord. I think they did say that down here, Yeah. So they take the other A off the. This should be lady, and ARO can mean lord or lady, depending on the context in Aramaic. So they get it. So the land of the goddess, or the lady, Tierra Mariae, which is Maria without the E, would be Mary in Latin. With the E would be of Mary. So we get Terra, land of Mary, or Maryland, as we say in English. And you see Washington right there, which is the cherry tree that he cut down because of we got the land of the Moor dealing with the feminine. We should have also the land of the Moor dealing with the masculine, which would be the people would be the children, the Moroccans, which would be the trifecta, man, woman, and child. But this nigga put herself as the father and cut me off. But he keep my mother. It's supposed to be Morocco, Maryland, and Marrakesh, or Morocco, or Tierra Mori, Tierra Morai, Tierra Morai. Or if we're dealing with Latin, then it would be Terra and Mari, M-A-U, R-I. That would be of the Moors, or of God, or of the lords or ladies. That's the ladies of the lady. And this would be of the Moor, which would be, yeah, Terra Maria and Terra Mari should be right there. And Casablanca should be sitting somewhere over here, which is the White House, which sits in Washington, D.C. On the other side, it sits in Morocco, like it should. So instead of Washington, it should be Morocco right there. Being that, we got Maryland. So we can see a pattern and we can see a mishap in the pattern by just using language. And like I say, our companies, see how they got the company Moabe as a Moab, and the city of God, which is, again, Morocco. We know that this part of Marruecos, Mauritania. So when they see that movie City of God in Brazil, they're telling you, they're talking about Marruecos, because that's what that means, the land of God. Like you got Utica, North African state, Tunis, and Abraca Moros, or Barca Moros, which means like mountain Moors, like Mount Atlas. I already been over a lot of these stuff, so I get bored, just come talk to y'all for some minutes, some hours. Got Maya Balam in the Yucatan. It's the later day. And they got a resort right there called Solomon Bay region. A perfect crescent moon bay. Right? And Maya Balam. So let's continue. As we see the Kusabo, Savannah River, right? Georgia, South Carolina. These tribes, all these tribes, right? They find out that they all under the sun and moon worshiping. That's what they call it, adoration. But what they don't know is that they just been dealing with the science of Islam, which we see as a star and crescent. They just don't know how to call it that because they've been kind of different from the ones in the East, which would make sense because we are our own people. And we always remixing or doing, or they might have remixed what we've been doing, who knows. But everything ain't gonna be the exact same, reaching over thousands of miles. It's gonna change it. People from here don't sound like even people from Virginia or Florida. There ain't even thousands of miles and we already changing between, but we the same people. So that's what we trying to get you understand. Well, not you who listen to this, because they're speaking to the Moorish Americans. Y'all not know this. But that's what we try to get people to understand. When they ask the question like, well, how come we call everybody Moors? Because we understand that everybody's a goddamn human, and how the hell, if they ain't related, if everybody ain't related, then where they come from? We just giving you the right name to use to deal with these modern day BS that going on. Put yourself back in the law in the ways of your foremothers and forefathers before you're too late. You see, we got Mary. You see how they adorate Mary and her son, which is also the father, right? Because he grew up and he have more sons and daughters. So this also is the daughter, and this also is the father. But by them having it like this, it show like basically she can have sons and daughters. She have fathers and mothers, and with the help of her son, right? Because she need the seed. So that's a worldwide adoration thing of the original mother and her son, Muslim, or my son, or Mason. So this Indian who they call Il Turco, the Turk, and a Maltese type Latin, like I say, but Americanos, that same Maltese type Punic Latin. So it ain't al like Arabic, or ain't el like Spanish. But in America, they using the Etruscan old way of Latin. Il Turco, the Turk. So that's Indian, not Hindu, American Indian, who they call Il Turco, the Turk. So I just blow a casket, I don't know. On account of his resemblance to the people of that nation. So they've been like Turks to these foreigners. They were like Moors and Turks. Every story, that's what they really be saying, almost every story. And we all know that, like they say India, because the people of India, the Muslims, turban and feathers and stuff, and feathers and everything, just like us over here. Spoke of a certain large town and large stores of gold and silver in his country. So he's talking about the city of gold, the western parts of the United States. Also of the country of the bisons, the buffaloes. So from the same book we get on Coronado's March, they say it was inhabited by Indians who were like Arabs. So that's how a lot of them start to call us these terms, even though we got Arabia down here under different names. We see Azamor, Mustafa, they call him Al-Arabi. So even under different types of names, but even the same name, just spelled a little different. So please stop associating us with Arabs until you debate these people. They're telling you Indians who were like Arabs. I ain't said it. But the reason they say that, because of they wear, they dress, they language, speaking the Moorish Latins from all the way from Alaska to Chile, different forms of the Latin and Arabic. That's what they destroy. They destroy the Arabic aspect. They didn't care about the Latin aspect because they could understand that. They could understand you in your Arabic, so they destroy that in America. They were called the Correcos, which look like chaos. Correcos, which is in that area, like I say, the Vasquez, aka the Black Cowboys. That's them Andalusians. The Vasquez, that's the name they use in Andalusia for them horseback riding Moors who've been masters of the horseback riding. And you look on all maps, they got look like a whole country of the West Equator is in the West Coast, and that's the term that they use. Andalusia, that term became cowboy or black cowboy. So they keep making things up like the African slaves who escaped to the West became cowboys, like they following somebody else and stuff. No, those are the ancient Andalusians who've been there. You just find them later when you decide to go west and start calling them cowboys and following them, and learning from them. You see another Kabaka, Devaka mentioned, because everybody be translating. All the English historians translate from these old Spanish and Portuguese documents and books. They don't got no time machine. They got to translate from these books. So, get them yourself and translate them yourself, and really be amazed. And as we can see in Native America, quote unquote, which is Moorish America, we got the fez with the tassel and the kufi over here. So, and we can see Veracocha now got her turban with the jewel in the middle. And, that right there is a custom that they call African, right? With the big earring, the two loops. You can go look up pictures of that. And he mugging from the Museum of Gold, Museo de Oro. And here we got the history of the turban. I ain't gonna read it, but you'll be able to screenshot it. It's a good read. The crown chakra. It's all Moabite, ancient Moabite. That's what happened to the ancient Moabite. They're all over the world being called everything, but they still got the turban on. And it just means the children of their mothers and fathers. So that would be a lot of people. See that? La Belle. See that? Moabite / Moorish, that's the same thing. Children of God are their parents. Ima means a mother. See? Because M means mother. No matter where you put your vowels, you can put M. And we use it with M-O. And we use Ab. We put it together. Moab, mother and father. I did 3 videos on that right there. So it's a good history story, old newspaper. I think anybody one of the Moors of the Moorish Temple back in the day. And as you can see, the Egyptian Empire, chapter 47. The Phoenician are the Moors who took the ancient sciences of ancient Egypt out into the modern world, which was basically the kids of this empire who continue to remember those sciences. That's what that is. And you see this was found in Sicily, right? Sciacca. Before it was a Rome. You see the Pope with that right there. The Pope with that. Here we have the second translation, English translation of the Treaty of Peace of Friendship, which had to be further translated based off how much everybody lose the language, start changing the language up. So they announced the Dr. Snook Horgroni Gronje. He translated. So let's see. What I wanted to point out, you see the Sultan CEO in his introduction to just the letter connected to the treaty. And he says, seal to the great one of the American states, right? 1786. The English translation copy say the American states. The first English translation copy say the United States of America in this part. But the original treaty copy written by the Moors says Estados, which is not Arabic. Just to keep letting y'all understand that when you think of Moors, stop thinking about the cartoon version they teach you in school about some Aladdin looking motherfucker. We are the Moors, and we spoke many languages. In this period, we spoke in Moorish Latin. Estados, which is Spanish, but this is not a Spanish. This document wasn't written in Spanish. It was written in Western Maghrebic, which is a late Punic Latin type language. As we can see, Estados, Americanos, which is a mistranslation from the United States, because they put United States of America for this. Where the treaty said this, they put United States of America. That's why we try to tell y'all this is our fucking country as Moorish Americans. Legally. Even though we might not have manpower or enough people who weak enough to enforce any of this, what I saying. Because one person they gonna shoot me right now, right? That's our fault because of our sleepiness, right? Because enforcement take numbers, power in numbers, and knowledge. So you gotta know this, and you gotta know this in mass, and it'll be like solidarity, like the sky blue. We all know that. So this Dr. Snook must translate this because this said the Moroccan estates, the Al Moroccan estates, our states. But for the sake of history, it don't matter because this word means Moroccan. We know that as most. It's just in New Latin form. So this word right here proves that if you go look for the Spanish version of America, it's gonna say Americanos, but it will say this spelling with OS at the end. The same spelling with OS. It would not say this. So we eliminate that. So you want to say the Arabic since these Moors, then the Arabic don't say this neither for America. It say Amriki, Amirki. So that should say Amriki Estados, if that's the translation, right? So we see a mistranslation is really Al, but at this time, this Punic language already got the Al in it with the A. Because we see this also in the same translation without the A. So he's showing you that the A is just Al, taking the place as Al. Maricanos, which is the Moroccans, the states of the Moroccans. And that's why we say this Moroccan land, this Morocco. And you can't get it because nobody really explained the shit like this. It's be like, you can look at the word America and see that, dude. What you could. American. If you say mer, say you say M-E-R, mer. And you say American. And you say the word Moroccan, you saying you American. Moroccan. You got one letter that changes your sound. American or Moroccan. So that one sound syllable, if that ain't enough to make you say, well, ain't enough goddamn coincidence in this world, then that's just all you know. But that's another way to see why we say that too. This doctor must translate a certain word. This word does not say American. It does because America means Morocco, but it's more correct by just saying Moroccans. And you see the M-A-R again, which is the Mar from the Aramaic, means Lord, so just land of God, just like Maryland, Marrakesh, and Morocco, same words. Or Moab. You see the president say, peace to the great one of the American states, Estados Americanos, the president. So that's the great one of the American states he talking to. And that's before George, right? So he talking to George Washington, he's talking to somebody else. Somebody who was an Americano. Americano. He said, peace be to those who follow the right guidance. And I know why he said that, because Moors over here acting like a lot of Christians. Oh, this later coming from some place from over here to another place over here, to different groups of Moors, two groups of Moors. And these Moors who write into these Moors, Americanos, are saying, peace to the ones who stole down with the Mohammedan religions, because a lot of us started to call each other, call ourselves these European terms or these new terms. So he put that in parentheses, like, peace to those Moors who stole Moors, being Moors. So he take a slight jab at the Moorish Americans who put this treaty together. He said, to come to the point, your letter has reached us, and also have reached us the articles of treaty of peace which you have sent us, and we are on terms to complete truce and peace, which just means the Moorish Americans opening up the ports for this new thing they got called the United States of America. So they had to get permission from these spiritual grandparents, which been all over here. Tunis, Tripoli, we opening up ports in America, dealing with this. We opening up different ports all across America. That's why we got the commercial center called United States today, because the ports have to be open, because that USA flag can't get through certain ports. It wasn't recognized by the Moorish Empire. So the Moors of North America, get them to hook up so we can rock. They give themselves the hook up because they were the United States at this time. Even though the United States get hijacked from us a couple of decades later, that still don't kill the facts that happened before. So they begin the ports open up to start this new thing. And this new thing had a lot of our family members in there who've been European or Christians or whatever. So they couldn't really do nothing for us. Basically, we been sending them on a mission. They would probably get snatched just based off that, based off them being Christian or European or pale or whatever. But we already had a marrying to them and they marrying to us. Amalgamation parties, we would get into that later. So we have to give them the protections, which would have been some kind of document they would have to have from us, like a license, so the Moors wouldn't snatch them up. The Moors that's all over the planet, all over the seas. Some pirating, we've been trying to get some protection, and Salty would help us with that, because he would have called the Moors off when they see that red, white, and blue. Call the Moors off. It ain't matter what port. And they most likely the ports over here, like Hudson Bay, New Orleans, Charleston Port, something, all that. Because, if you look at history, none of these wars and none of these stuff going on in the United States, ain't nothing going on really popping until after the 1786 treaty in the Constitution. Now you got country. And everybody wanna try to say, well, Moors create what we call the small city of the United States. So yeah, and we let some idiots take it from us instead of writing it ourselves. But since it's yours, that should tell you, well, you should write it again and take it from the idiots who messing up. You don't need to point no fingers, just get right. I did a series a little bit on this treaty, but as you can see, I gotta do a whole one based on this whole treaty. Go through the articles and be able to see who's who, how you connected to, and how all this is about America, all of it, and the whole world. But they ain't been concerned about the whole world. They couldn't even get from Baltimore to New York without somebody running up on their ship. So they need these treaties as a piece of friendship, our comedy and amorous. And you see, they use the word help of God and stuff like that because there's holy wars between Muslims and Christians. So these words are going to show up. It's holy wars. So 50 years. So every 50 years, they got to get that thing re-signed from the Sultan, which could be the people. If you watch my last videos, what the language I show where the word Sultan been also used for the authorities of a land or a group of people who've been a sovereign state, been the Sultan. So the Continental Congress acting as the Sultan. So even two Sultans doing treaty. So a group of people. So you don't gotta keep looking for a savior or a sovereign. Step it up. You see Isaac Cardozo Nunez. That's an interesting family, the Cardozo family. I find a lot of them in Charleston. They dark-skinned people. And this is evidence that Noble Jolly been talking about the treaty when he say the present Moroccan Empire and the treaty, a piece of friendship between the Moroccan Empire and the United States of America. So he had to actually explain everything like that because even a man of few words, if you look at it, he even try to keep everything short. And he said, you are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, the true possessors. So he already recognized that somebody else was possessing it. And he's saying, you the true one. So he recognized there's a false one. And then 7, it basically telling you that America is what he talking about. Also, just in case you confused, he makes sure he put that North, South, and Central America in the islands, just so you wouldn't be stuck, because he using the term Africa. So he know how we think. We don't think into 3 and 4th. We don't look at stuff without third mind. We look at it with just the 2 eyes and don't look deeper into stuff. So he put that there to let you know. Northwest Africa extends. And this is a nutshell for everything I just say. The children of the present Moroccan Empire, right? They were the founders and are. And he's talking about Moorish Americans because this is in chapter 47. So this is our history. So he's talking about us. So we are the children of the present Moroccan Empire. The descendants of Moroccans, that's what he say, which would be our Moroccans. Or Moors, because that's the same thing. The children of God and the children of God. On their American lands, around their ports, they were called Maricanos, as we just see. 1786. That's how when you using these terms, you always point out the dates so people are going to understand in what fashion you're using them. You don't always got to do that, But if I see somebody confused because they say Moroccan, like all the way over here, and I already know in their mind they're thinking about what we talking about, modern day Morocco, you know. So what I talking about, Moorish Americans, we got 1929, Noble Drew Ali. The reason why that's legally and lawfully accurate is because words like this, as we just see, this term been used for American. But where did we find this term? We found it in the Treaty of Peace of Friendship between the Moors and the Christians. So I would make them, they translated from a Moorish document to an English document. The Moorish document had the word America under this. So what that means, this is Moorish Americans. Because this is the word American just written in Moorish words. Language. So that means this is the Americans, but Moorish version of it. Moorish Americans. So even perfect coining this for us, because we had the right names at that time. And this name also can be used ambiguously for dark-skinned people all across the Americas, because they are Moors from Alaska to Chile. So that's how neat that been. He create a super nation that can go under this. I would be a Moorish American of the several states, or of the state of Carolina, if I claim that, or whatever name I claim it for my region. I mean, the people of this region, wherever we agree on, but we understand our history dealing with the state, and it's our states, the several states. So we'll say Moorish Americans of Carolina, and a Moor from Brazil will say Moorish Americans of Brazil, being that that's their state today. So politically, we're using modern, and we're using the ancient descent name and the modern political aspect, and it becomes perfected. And the law understand that you saying you was a Moor and born in America. So all Moorish history, no matter where you're at, even in America, would be your heritage. And that's a lot of history. Whole library sections full of history for you to claim. Also in 1786, in the English version of the treaty, not the second translation, but the original translation, they don't got the word Americanos nowhere to be found. But they took that word and they wrote it as citizens of the United States. Just like that, no other way. No U.S. citizen, no other way, because that way you get into confusion. The law needs specific. So put the date and put English version or whatever you got to, if you want to use citizen of the United States, and you'll be in law, because you're telling them based off that document, that citizen of the United States, that's talking about you. So your projection's gonna connect. So using Moorish American, all citizens of the United States, 1786, that puts you in the proper status. And then just another version of Maricanos that they got translated. So I hope that explains a lot. The citizens of the United States part, people, even more, I see a lot, look at that as something that's how white supremacy or something, because the people that did so much stuff using that name United States so long that people are gonna look at that as the big bad devil, or he's a subject or some stuff like that, where they, U.S. citizen, 14th Amendment and all that. But way before the 14th Amendment, they calling Moors of America, Moorish American citizens of the United States in the English version of the treaty. And that's where we get confused if we don't take that and put that in perspective, because we're going to be looking at that treaty and thinking they're talking about somebody else, talking about you. And they say, set aside what the United States should harm or more, and the more should harm the United States, talking about you and other Moors around the empire, and giving you the protections for you under your flag, the banner. So they recognize you as, they would have recognized you under that banner. So it doesn't matter what the English version had translate that to. You just gotta know where you at in that. And you that under the term phrase citizens of the United States. That's before your United States get taken. So, you know, that been cool for you at that time to let that translation version sit right there as that. That translated version, you ain't correct that because of that. Because you know you're in the United States. Citizens of the United States. You ain't know they would have come around later and redesignate that definition of what that is and all that 3 or 4 times. That's the reason why they did that, changed those shit up like that, because they realized, and the so-called sovereigns in the community realized too, that's why they started trying to call themselves Moors. These people go in this history and they seen the same thing that they showing y'all, and then they get mad and they try to be more or try to do something to change something up. And during the Civil War, they did a lot of change, a lot of translating from Latin to English, and a lot of stuff. The stuff that we got now is leftover stuff that they didn't catch, or they didn't figure that been something that they should hide. That's another example. It's from the same treaty, and it's showing you all the countries, all the nations that people got a nationality, and they call themselves white and black. They under one of these kings. These the Christian nations that in treaty with the Moorish nations. You see, the black, so-called black people got their king. All the different nations here got theirs. And we see this in 1790 Immigration Free White Person Act. We see this being played out. They letting the people who got legal rights to be in, and people who don't, they dismissing it. Ain't no Caucasians, no whites, no none of that. Just national people with kings who sign on to this treaty of peace. This treaty of peace is supposed to bring peace to the world. So don't be surprised if they go back to this treaty worldwide. It's supposed to bring peace to the world, let everybody go through commerce without being molested. Okay, so you see, the more enforcing the law and look like Rome, or like we say America, because it's the same architecture. In ancient times, you see, we didn't play with the law, because bitch already not get it. Her man her for playing with the law. You see who the law enforcer. Gotta get back to the law. And we can see the sun, the corona, the big earrings, and the animal on the top. And I believe that's why they use the Spanish word rey, El Rey. I believe that got a lot to do with Ra. But hard to find connections on that. See, the turban. Got a whole man on it. Got a whole man on that thing. Shit. Noble. You can see what happens when you get captured and get turned Negro. You gotta take all this off. Right here. Take off questionable vesture before baptism. And then you become Negro. You lose all that Moorish science, and you get a new science of belief. So you lose all your education, which stifle the world because the vengeance been coming fast. When they baptize you, you get a new creed. And in that creed, we see where they got us today. In Grenada, in South America, you see, while we've been sleeping, Reagan been messing with the Moorish Americans down there. Like how they dress, like how we been dressed back then too, 80s and 90s. Striped thing. We don't know what was going on. We was up here steady breakdancing and shit. They been around fucking with the Moorish Empire left over. Now just hear them, pick them up, because they know it's holy wars. And young Mo about to slap this man. I've been showing the turbans. I think that's why I got this in there again, showing all the different pictures with the most of the turbans, and we'll get back to that later. But even our grandma, I'm gonna go to church with that turban, that Vera culture hat on, the same type of turban with the jewel in the middle. And the children, Martha James Florence, Abraham Taylor, a mulatto Taylor. And you know, the Taylor's been the Taylors. And they won't put a lot of things like mulatto Indian because we all been in that realm at this time. We not lose our who we thought. We forget who we've been around this period of this right here. And our grandmama and our great grandmama. We already been, matter of fact, around the 1500s in the record books, what the name is, Meredith Quinn. Say shit. The way they going hard against Islam in America and Arabic and anything that connects to something different other than Christianity is by over after like 50 years of war. These shit, even like people been staying away from anything Islamic in fear because the wars. And he said if we been more around, especially about our grandma time, he been a dead more. That's how deep he been. They had more killers, they were saying, actual, literally more killers. So they were first for one thing, looking at your complexion, you dark skin, you already been a victim. But if you've been Christian, then you would get on through. So they've been being Christians. Some of them in secret, and some by choice. Like shit, I want to do this. Or some by manipulation, like you were saying. Slave camps coming out, slave camps as friars and Catholics. Going in as Moors, coming out as Christians. Slave camps. They do with the captives and the children of the captives and stuff like that. Then send them back to the community and teach them people about Christianity and black and Africanness and all that. And that's what we still see going on today. Still be seeing people teaching that. But I got documents, all documents, laying them exact plans out, how they gonna get to try to find the best of the Moors, so that they could find the most warriors one, to see if they could break them down and get them to be a friar and send them back to the community that they steal them from, capture them from, and have them brainwash the rest. And the things that they were saying in that document, were they saying getting them to be Negroes, and which is black, and demonizing anything and dealing with more, which is their God self, their original God self. And they've been looking at that shit as subduing God. They've been looking at your captivity as a subduing God. That's a power fetish. Because they he used the definition of the term more in its proper context in that time, which is gods or lords. So, how long it's been? Can't see. Entire yet. Let's go. So it said he married Isabella, an Indian woman. Joseph the Reef, an Indian wood dealer, married Mary, a mulatto woman, and they had 5 children. Probably you see the pictures of these people and their children today, you'd be like, mulatto? He black or Indian? But they thought they'd been mulattoes and Indians at this time. We, as a people, thought we'd been blacks and all these other things. And we're going to see the Reef, I think either him or his father or his brother, we're going to see a piece from him where he talking about going to court and fighting to not be listed as black, but to keep the Indian title. Because he from here, so the black, he already know that would make it him. Messing with his status. And they had high status, these people right here. They were the rich people at that time. These unions were not the norm, however, most free blacks in Charleston lived in all black households in 1860. And we're going to see this the Reef. This the Reef, one of the ones where they say mulatto. Just to show you how words can confuse you. Let me see. The Moors, I think this is Mexico or Peru. They're looking at the dress. Hard to tell in America. See, you see Africa and America. You see both sides the same thing. Oh, they slick on this though, try to make it look like they can tell the difference between us through complexion. That ain't always the case. The Moors of Brazil been darker skinned than the ones the Moors up here in North America anyway. And so, which Africa you talking about? You're talking about the 16 degrees latitude north of the equator and 16 degrees south of the equator, Africa, or what we know as Africa, you see. But you see on both sides the same things. The red flag or gown or whatever we're going to call that, robe, cape. On both sides, both wearing. You got the white, because they say the white guards, they were talking about the Moors who've been all white. A bunch of them, all white, clean ass robes, walking down the street, look like a flat of whiteness. So we dealing with the color of science, which is purity. You see the blue, the red and blue. And you see even the amalgamated Moors around. All kind of races been here because we don't know about the Moor stories, about the invasions and shit by the different tribes of the Nordic states in 1453. The taking the head of Satan, the Moors take the head of Satan, all that happened here. The Roman horde that Dracula come to invade the Americas, coming through the Arctic regions with a Roman horde. And, some of those Roman hordes probably just stay in, That's 1453. So that's before. That's been hundreds of years, 200, 300 years, something like that. It's like a 1700s or the 1800s repeating 17. Looking at the thing, you see the red kid, Superman. You see him taking the original mother and child, Mason, my son, from the indigenous peoples and bringing the new one, the Gallicans and the Castilians and these wild men, the friars, introducing the new science to the Moors. And that's how they became Indians too. Carlos and Juan III, the ones who the one who gave Castilian vassalage became kings of the West Indies, kings of the Canary Islands, which is Colombia, Venezuela, and the West Indies, Mexico, and the Caribbean. So by helping the Castilians, they get like mayor titles and stuff like that, kings of the West Indies, which was the first quote-unquote Indians. The English came around and started to really put that term on people, but the original usage was by these Moors who been down with the Castilians at the time. Right, because that's the Castilians' name for the place, West Indies. And they got a big cross on this chain, showing that where that come from. And go look up people like Moxica and Vera. These people have been down with the Castilians, and they've been the first Indians because they've been the ones who helped establish West India. Again, the feathers got the gold, big ass gold bucket hat, like they call it, with the feathers. And you can see the conquistadors, the Catholics, and the Castilians against the Moorish Americans. And they give you how they look. Got the corn. And they give you 3 women. They give you the Moorish woman and the Albanese woman. And they give you, I guess that's the Americano. I guess that's Africa or South America. And I guess that's Europe. But it's all into this mural. Say the murals de las 3 culturas. The mural of the 3 cultures. So we have 3 cultures. This look like America, Africa, and Europe in allegorical sense. And the characters that play, some of the characters that play on both sides. These Gallicans and Aragonese and Genoese and all these different conquerors, Gallicans. Some of them been on the Canary Islands too, hitting the Americas up. We know the French version, the French English pilgrims. You see the church and the Templars. Go close up on each other. And they got hair braided and everything. Cornrow back. Cornrow. Haha. And look what we got out front. Holy Wall baby. It's the holy walls. And nope, not Portugal, not Spain. Somewhere in America. And somewhere in America. Definitely. We can tell by the parrot. It's naked more. But you got the red kid. And then parrot. Those parrots and stuff, they put in the paintings. For allegorical reasons, they'll probably put a cornucopia showing abundance. Somewhere in America. Castle. Bunch of these. And we look at the rooftop and tell from the rooftop, that's Andalusian style. And they find, what they don't tell us about Lucia is that they find a lot of her people like her same race, so-called, around in that cave too. But they only say they act like they find her. Whoa, I didn't know I had to read today. But I should just read this, and this would be a good ending point for this video. I already said a lot. My voice losing. Been losing. The Pope and the good name of Alexander VI were saved by the cross of Cambuco, related to the place named Santo Tome, so old that Columbus found in Santo Tome near Orinoco. He documented the apostles' visit, admitted that the Romans knew the Indies under the name of Africa. Hear that? The Romans knew the Indies are Americas, because that's what Castile called the Americas, Indies, under the name of Africa. You know what that means? That means they not write about the Americas so much in the ancient Roman books under Latin. There's certain libraries right now that we don't know talking about the Americas because they called it Africa. The saint was assigned the mission to bringing the good news to the continent, so they assigned saints back in the day to come spread, religion, I guess, to the continent of America. They made him disembark in Uruguay. Notwithstanding that the port was unsuitable for arrival by far, they made him disembark in Uruguay. Wow. Plant the crossroads to the north, opening the wide road to the Pedro de Ursua, in charge of conquering the Orinoco at the end of the 16th century, traveled 200 leagues, founded Santo Tome. The apostle ended his journey in Rio de Oro, where he almost drowned, which is near Panama, I think. Rio de Oro, or Castillo de Oro. No, Rio de Oro is in Brazil. The River of Gold. He almost drowned crossing the river. Assumed the legend, not a few Peruvians claimed to have ancestors who treated him personally. I find a lot of stories about people who in South America who claim to have known either him or his people, Columbus. Shit deep. Matter of fact, got a bust of Columbus, known as a bust of Christopher Columbus, and you're gonna be amazed to see that bust. Conditioned by the ignored continent paradigm. So everybody's been conditioned, and still is, that the ignored continent paradigm is that humanity in the Eastern Hemisphere, and I know that the Western Hemisphere exists until Columbus, right? That's what the paradigm is. Right, so it's supposed to be a newly discovered land that been already fought by Pacific people coming through the Siberian screen. They're the only people who knew of this land for thousands of years until 1492. They and the rest of the world get on. So, conditioned by the ignored continent paradigm, archaeologists declare exception findings, which are because they have been preserved in hostile climatic conditions, not for another cause. So, they dismiss a lot of stuff or erroneously do play stuff or talk about stuff based off how condition of things, but what she's saying is that mostly concerned with the climate being hostile for artifacts. Statues of the Mexican archaic evoke forms of Sumer or the Aegean Islands, which is, ancient Greek. And in Aztec hair, we found the look of the scribe or Asian features in Buddhist similes. And she talking about this one. They may not be proof that every civilization goes through the stages in their order. And what she talk about there is gene mutations. She trying to say this human went from dark skin like Africans and morphed into like the Asian first, and then to the so-called European versions and stuff like that. And she said they may not be proof, but that's her idea of humanity. Though a lot of people got the idea that, but science agree. They agree that genetics morph over time. That's why Cheddar Man with dark skin with blue eyes and blonde hair. Because her skin ain't morph yet, but the other features morph. And she said they may not be proof. He said indicating a logical mimicry exchange effect denied by the Colombian orthodoxy. So she's basically saying a lot of different nations already come here in mix and all that stuff too, but they get ignored because the Colombian story say nobody's supposed to have nobody's place but the Siberians. So the towers and the fortresses of the people's Indians remember those of the medieval Sparta or Islamic places. So she said the towers are in the fortress of the people Indians, which is the pueblos. It's reminiscence of medieval Sparta and Islamic places. Like I say, the ancient Greeks are the Aegeans, are the Etruscans, and I think they've been from here who going over there. Because the languages, they starting to recognize those similarities with that. And the Mediterranean Sea, so all those Mediterranean cities and stuff, I believe been traveled to and fro by American Moors since super ancient times. And she finding those ideas too by looking at architecture. The alleged sacrifice of maidens thrown into the crater of Nicaragua could be a ceremonial replica with traditional places in Taigueto. Las Feres Olmecs, they sacrifice pigeons in the Roman way. So you got some tribes who she believed got craters of sacrificing humans in Nicaragua. But it's all alleged. We don't know what they actually used those for. That was just history books tells us. But she said the one that was interesting is the Olmec using the pigeon in the same way the Romans did, which is those early Moors in the Mediterranean. Sicilia, Sicula. But Rome come out of that, so a lot of the stuff we associate with Rome and like these architecture and stuff, but we gotta go back before there was a Rome to see the truth. Admitted the kingship of the voodoo with African culture, it's present and is attributed to imported slaves, right? That's what everybody say when they say voodoo or what they consider African in the Americas. They think it come here by way of the transatlantic slave trade. They stuck on the Colombian paradox, to use her term, or the slavery paradox. So she said, its presence attributed to imported slaves, but they are not exclude. They not to exclude contact of free men between the two Africas, which is America and what we call Africa today. So she said, don't act like these Moors aiming on ports going back and forth longer than we can pinpoint. The Egyptians practiced sun worship, and also the Americans, like I showed earlier, sun and moon, star and crescent, elevated by Akhenaten to official religion with great disgust of the powerful priest Amun. They are seen extinguishing the dynasty after the premature death of the sun. The pyramid is Egyptian, but also American, right? You know that. Everybody know that. We got pyramids here and over there. So coincidence ain't just a coincidence. The pyramid is Egyptian, but also American, like the card of the sun and the moon. So she got the same understanding that I got. A star is a sun, and a crescent is a moon. So we dealing with the ancient cultures all over the world before the word Islam even been looked at as a religion, even just Salam, S-L-M. And before it been defined and redefined and everything like the word more, it just had meant peace. So the Indians have said to write the great law of peace. So in English, that's what that is, the great law of peace. But in their old language, it would be Salam, S-L-M. And you can add any vowels you want in any place, as long as you got the S-L-M, and they'll work as peace. So Islam is what we use for that. Sun and moon, so-called worship. But all that is mother and son. Moon representing the female, and the sun is the sun. And I show at the beginning, that's the actual sciences that more was about. We ain't about that spooky shit. We about actual geometry and astronomy and chemistry and stuff like that. That's our religion, science, study of nature. And Tuanako, there is a Poeta del Sol, poet of the sun. I think Poeta del Sol, to which a temple was dedicated here in Cuzco. So Cuzco used to be like Mecca, which used to be called Mecca, M-E-C-A, was the Mecca for like Moorish Americans in the South America. Everybody used to go pilgrimage to Cuzco. I forget why what book I read that in, but they going deep into Islam and ancient America. And they talk about Cuzco being that type of place. And you go to Cuzco historical section, you'll see it called, matter of fact, the historical section is called All Mortals. So revered in Palenque, the population of Yucatan represent a satellite and the star, and wheels of gold and silver. So basically saying the same thing, star and a crescent. In Guatemala and Nicaragua, processions were made to the Temple of the Sun, walking the idol, and pilgrimages were celebrated. So the pilgrimage you talk about a little bit, being the main god in Tierra Firme, Ecuador, and Peru. Vasquez Chronicler of Aguirre describes Residero next to the Amazon. So even the so-called Jewish mosque, temple being next to the Amazon. So you got the Moorish science temples and the Israelite temples here at the same time. How dope was that? At the entrance, there were two sacrificers, quote unquote, and one appeared figure of a man toppled by the sun, and the other, the woman, under the moon. You see, top under the sun, under the moon. Like I say, the mother and the son, being what it did, disappeared hopelessly. So just stop right here, and we'll continue to chat probably later tonight. It's late night with the Moors. We just gonna talk to each other. We ain't gotta prove nothing to each other. We just gonna talk. So let's remember. Let's start right here. And Islam. Till next time. Peace.